Hello, ghouls and ghoulettes. It is I, Mr. Scum, back at it with another review. Today we're talking about Evil Dead 2. It's about the story about Ash and his girlfriend going into a cabin and going into the basement and discovering the Book of the Dead, a book bound in human flesh and inked in human blood. He reads it and awakens the Deadites, which are demons. Yeah, it's a pretty simple story, but it works great. Evil Dead 2 is weird. It's kind of like a remake sequel. They didn't have the rights to show footage from the first movie. So in the first 10 minutes of the film, they show what happened in Evil Dead 1 by reimagining and refilming it all from scratch. So everything that happened in Evil Dead 1 happens in the first 10 minutes of this movie. So it is a remake, but it also follows up to what happens next after the first movie. So it's also a sequel? It's kind of confusing, but it is considered a remake sequel. A little weird, I know, but it works. If you haven't seen Evil Dead 1, I'd jump right into this one first, because it is the best of the two films. Hell, it's even better than Army of Darkness, the sequel to Evil Dead 2. It's the best of the trilogy, so definitely check this one out first. It'll leave a good taste in your mouth, then you can go check out the other movies of the trilogy later after you're already a fan. I believe watching the first Evil Dead or Army of Darkness first will give you the wrong impression about the trilogy, because the first and third one are so different from one another. One's a straight up horror, and the other is a straight up comedy. Watching either will give you a first impression that it's not accurate to what the franchise offers. Evil Dead 2, on the other hand, is both horror and comedy, so you can see exactly what both flavors of Evil Dead taste like in one swoop. Not only that, the franchise is best when it's both funny and scary. Its sequel and its prequel are lesser films, because it loses one part of the two-part secret ingredient, horror and comedy. Since the first one is just a comedy, when you watch that, you sorely miss the horror. When you watch the first one, it's so serious, and you sorely miss the comedy. Here, with Evil Dead 2, you won't miss a thing. So that's why I recommend Evil Dead 2 first. Now let's talk about the cinematography. It is superb. They have crazy camera angles in this movie. They have an Evil Dead force chase scene through the forest, but you never know what's chasing them. It's all a camera trick. Some of the most creative cinematography in film history is on display here. I like how the light bulb starts to fill up with blood and the room turns red. Really creative stuff. Where Sam Raimi took a 2x4 and carved each end of the stick to look like a motorcycle handle, and mounted the camera in the middle, and ran through the forest and made an Evil Dead 4 scene that we all know and love today. There's also the Samba Cam. That made the impressive shot of Ash being thrown and swung around relentlessly through the forest by the evil force. There's also the Sky High Cam, a flagpole type device constructed for a shot where the camera hurtles upwards high into the trees. And of course, the Ramo Cam, designed to film the point of view shot of Ash's headlong plunge through the front windshield of his car. And that's just some of the camera tricks used in this film. All of these techniques have been adopted in other movies since the film's release. Let's just say this movie's cinematography inspired a lot of filmmakers. Let's talk about the special effects and monsters. They are too off the hook and amazing. Really imaginative stuff on display. Countless possessions. Rotting demons, possessed hands, possessed trees, geysers of blood coming from every orifice of the cabin, and it all looks very impressive. Tom Sullivan killed it in this film. Hell, he killed it in all three of the Evil Dead films. His special effects are awesome. The editing is smooth, and they definitely cut out all the boring scenes that drag, because this movie just goes. Right when it starts until the very end. There's no boring scenes or anything that drags. It's all just classic scene after classic scene. Kudos to the editor, Kay Davis. And I mean it, guys. So many memorable scenes in this movie. In fact, the whole movie is memorable. Every scene is a little masterpiece. I could go on and on and on and go through every favorite scene of mine, but I'd just be stuck reciting the whole film, and I'll spare you all that. All I can say is, watch it, and watch all of it, and watch it with a friend, and have a good time. Now let's talk about the acting. The acting is very cheesy from everyone else but Bruce. But it works. Bruce Campbell absolutely kills it in this film as Ash. Gives a performance of a lifetime. This is my favorite performance ever, of all time. This is my most favorite memorable character too. I mean, he starts off as a wimp in the beginning, but slowly gets pissed off and becomes the ultimate badass by the end. I love the progression. It was absolutely beautifully done. I also love how Ash isn't a Marty Stew, basically a male version of a Mary Sue. You know, someone who is overly confident? Ash is definitely not that. There's a 50% chance he'll screw things up, and a 50% chance he'll succeed. You gotta love it. When watching him, you never know what to expect. You never know if he's gonna screw things up or just save the day. That kind of unsureness, the unknowing of where the film is gonna go next, makes the film unbelievably exciting. I gotta mention here, this is my favorite film of all time. The score by Joseph Lodaka is very memorable. It is both beautiful, scary, and haunting. It really beautifully complements the film. It kind of reminds me of Danny Elfman a little bit. And I know I'm supposed to say some negative aspects about the film, but honestly, I just can't think of any. In my opinion, it's one of the only perfect films out there. It's unpredictable, funny, scary, exciting, fun, all at once. What's not to love about Evil Dead 2? I give this film a motherfreaking 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching my review. If you liked it, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks again, and I'll see you ghouls later.